Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Horse Center. Shawn, the weekends fly by. Tonight, we are joined by special guest, Willie Martinez. Willie, I need a trophy room like that because your background is what I had in mind for my background. Can we switch places?
I see that, Rich. I love your background, though. Yeah, this is, as you can see, this is all my wife's work, her art. So
Mm-hmm.
she's the one. She's amazing. She's the one that put all this together. So I'm just very proud that I'm able to see these in a daily basis.
It looks fantastic, I got to tell you. You know what else kind of looked a little bit fantastic, and it's going to bring us to our first subject this evening, and that's I saw a video of you doing a little bit of work on the heavy bag, right? So you're popping the bag, looking pretty sharp. Are you thinking about a second career in boxing?
That was actually one of my dreams when I was younger. Me and my brother used to spar a lot. My younger brother, and of course my height, and I have, as you can see, a scar, an old scar there. So it was hard for me to keep up with the bigger guys and all that. So it was a struggle, but I did try it. It was a dream, and then I tried. I thought I could be a professional baseball player. That didn't work out.
So when we talked to Jose Ortiz, we asked him, hey, man, if you and your brother got into it, because it was kind of off of him getting into it with Pablo Irad, he said he would never hit his brother. So he wouldn't tell us who would win that fight. With I think I know why, because Irad would probably win that fight. But if between you and your brother, who always wore the belt?
Oh God! When he was younger, I would have said me when he was smaller, but shortly after that, I would just go the other way. I had no shot.
So that brings us to last night. Obviously, there's a slap heard around the world. Will Smith gets up and he cracks Chris Rock. So a question for you. We put up a little bit of a survey. About 2/3 of the people so far say it was real. I think I can prove pretty fast to anybody who's ever been around boxing that it was staged. What do you think, Willie? Real or staged?
Oh my God, I saw that on social media today. That's crazy. And I'm a big fan of both of them, Chris Rock and Will Smith, as well his wife. I don't know. I mean, it looks pretty real to me, obviously. And I just wish it didn't went down that way. But of course, you're not in that situation, in his position. And it shows the love and the passion for his wife as well. And I don't know. I think maybe it could have been handled differently, but in the spirit of the moment, who knows? Because you're not in that position. I probably would have reacted the same way. Who knows?
How about you, Shawn? Real or staged?
I think it's staged. When you see the photos, like before, after, the fact that no one really jumped up, I just think it was staged. When I see the photos after, you see a crack of a smile by Will Smith, you see a crack of a smile from Chris Rock. If that wasn't real, Chris Rock would not be. I know if I got slapped on stage live on TV in front of millions, I would not be smiling at all, not even a crack of a smile. So I think it's staged.
He can take a slap. I'm gonna tell you why.
Well, he hit him right here. I tell you why. First of all, who smacks like that? Nobody scored. You know from hitting the bag, Willie. You don't score. You don't stand perpendicular to the bag, parallel to the bag. You stand perpendicular to the bag, right?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get a little bit of angle. You don't stand like this, so nobody swings like that.
Yeah.
B, when Chris Rock got hit, immediately he puts his hands behind his back, right? So I don't know about you, but I would think that if I got cracked, I might not swing back, though I think that would be my first impulse would be to swing back. But I know for sure I wouldn't put my hands behind my back because at the very minimum, I don't know if a second one's coming. So I'm going to get my hands up, right?
Correct.
And then 3, Will Smith, he turns around and walks away pretty confidently because he's pretty confident nothing's coming back behind him. I don't know about you, Willie, but if you ever crack somebody, you don't turn your back on them right away and walk away because you're expecting some heat to come back.
I will hope I will be able to take that kind of slap and be able to stand up. But if I get passed out, then I knocked out, I won't have a shot. But I don't know. It was kind of, I don't know.
Those are my theories why it was all staged. But in any case, what we know is not staged is your career. Really, right now, are you riding exclusively at Presque Isle Downs?
I am in the spring and summer, and the last 2 winters I've been taking off from riding and just kind of being I'm a late bloomer dad, so I'm trying to enjoy as much as I can with my son and my 3 beautiful stepdaughters, and also my wife. So it helps me because I've been riding for nearly 33 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been blessed as far as injuries. I have been hurt many, many times, but nothing like will put me out a year or so. So it's kind of been non-stop riding for me. And up until this point, I know the gap is closing, and I have to make some decisions here soon. But I still enjoy riding. I feel good. I keep myself busy and fit. And of course, once it's in your blood, it's just hard to get out of it. And by the way,
Hey, look at this guy.
Right.
Willie Martinez is down with HRT. You know me.
yeah,
you are the
that's
you are
all
the
Jamie.
man.
That's all Jamie. She's got a shirt herself too. That's how she does things.
So that rockets you right up to the #1 guest all time.
There you go.
Unquestionably undisputed.
He came in today in the middle of the day.
Perfect
Wow.
timing.
Just in time.
Yeah.
Sean, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Just a little cold, but been freezing here. Willie, so are you looking at 4,000?
Oh,
You said
wow.
you have to make decisions. Or you're at 35.63.
Wow. That's a good question because I'm not really going after numbers. I just hope to be able to retire in one piece. That's my goal. So I'll be able to enjoy and say, I can walk away from the game. But if that comes, it'll be more than welcome. It is not easy because I'm only riding like half of the year in sort of like a 5 month meet. And the competition there is tough. So I don't know if I can pull it. It's gonna be hard, but you never know. Mario Pino did an amazing things, and he finished up his career, at Prescott down. So that was amazing to see that. He was just I look up to Mario, unbelievable. So that was like wow. That's a lot of times going to the winner's circle.
How important is it? A lot of these jockeys are riding every day. They're riding 7-8 races a day, and I'm sure it gets taxing mentally. How important and how good is it for you to go in fresh and not have that?
Oh man, well, after so many years, it's a big plus because, of course, in these sports, they always gonna have the young blood, the fresh blood coming up, and that means that you have to put your spurs on and ride. But your experience will overcome a lot of things. But it really helps your body and mind. I'll come out of here like a lion out of the cage when I be up and ready to work because it's been killing me. So I don't sit still. So it's something, like I say, it's in my blood. So I'm ready to go back and fresh and hope for a good summer.
You said about the young guns. When you were a young gun, who were the jockeys you were looking up to, and who are some of the young guns that you see now that are going to be really good in a few years?
I just recently thought about something because I've been texting through social media Joe Bravo. He's been a close friend for years and congratulating his achievement lately. So there was one time that I was in the Jackson as a buck rider with Johnny Velasquez, Joe Bravo. Oh my God, that was in New York, and the list goes on. But it just goes to show you how crazy the game is. But mainly in Kentucky, when my career took off, it was in Kentucky in the 90s. So I was able to share the Jackson with Pat Day, Shane Sellers, Mark Guidry, Garrett Gomez, rest in peace. And during the sprint Keeneland meet, who's not there? You name it. Most of all the Hall of Famers. So that was I had the opportunity to ride with the best of the best, and it was just a pure honor to be with those guys.
Speaking of the best, it seems to me like the Puerto Rican riders right now are dominating. And what is it about learning to ride horses in Puerto Rico that gives these guys such I think, great skills and advantage?
I would say the number one thing is like, for me, I grew up in Puerto Rico. In the corner, all you see is if you don't see a kid with boxing gloves or a baseball bat, and then a jockey. So those things are, you know what I mean? So, and now I would always look up to Angel Cordero. That was my idol. It would always will be. And to see the progression of the next generation over and over from Puerto Rico riding school, it goes to show you how disciplined you have to be and the time that you have to spend to become that kind of rider and just throw you against the best right away. The Ortiz brothers, for example, I always been saying that I don't think we're ever gonna get to see something like that. That two brothers are dominating one sport the way they do it, like this sport, our sports. And to me, it's amazing. I take my hat off to them. Great kids, great families, and great riders, and their devoted dedication. It shows.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of riders, one of your causes, will, if for lack of a better word, from what I've been able to gather, is jockey health and horse health. And one of the things you've talked about in the past is jockey weight and the lifestyle that they have to lead in order to, some of them, to maintain their weight, right? That's probably what we hear the most challenging part of the job. What, just from a competitive standpoint, if everybody had to weigh, let's say 125, what difference do you feel that would make, if any?
Oh my God. It's hard because for me, most of my career, I've always been light up into the last handful of years. As you get older, of course, it's hard to keep, to burn calories. But
yes, I know.
I've seen some of my closest friends just kill themselves, literally, just to be able to ride, man. This is something that the passion. What the first time I saw Lafitte Pincay in a Jackson naked, I could not believe my eyes. The body, you're looking at it and like, this guy wasn't meant to be a jockey, and yet one of the greatest ever. It just goes to show you the dedication also and what the body can do. And he was very disciplined about his way, from what I can understand, So, but it's hard, man, because jockeys they have to lose weight every day. Probably the only athletes, not so much like the boxers. They cut weight 6 months from now for a big fight. Mm-hmm. Jockeys cut weight every day to go ride, every race. So it's tough, man. It's all about discipline. It's tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. I wrestled in high school, so I know, and college as well. So I know all about that weight cut. Went into my senior year of high school weighing 167 pounds and wrestled 135 a couple months later. It was just terrible. And that's with very little body fat. Charles wants to know, with the Colonial Downs now being owned by Churchill Downs, do you think about traveling there to ride on the turf course?
Only been to Colonial Downs once for a weekend. I rode a couple of horses from Pletcher and I forgot who else, and loved it. Beautiful, beautiful place. I have gotten some phone calls the last couple of summers if I have wanted to make the move. So excuse me.
Hey, what's happening, little man?
So
it's a mini-me.
He escaped.
That's
all right. Keep him.
He likes to be live.
Uh-huh.
So
he's more than welcome to stay.
Yeah. No, he will be still in the show. So yeah, Colonia Down has come a long ways, and he looks like the meat just get more competitive. And obviously money talks and the big purses and all that. So I never say no to anything. It's a possibility. Who knows?
So he likes to steal the show, the young man. I also saw him riding on a rocking horse in the house. Does he have aspirations to follow in Dad's footsteps?
Man, I would certainly not push it to do it. But if that's what he wants to do, then I would definitely support him 100%. Before now, and up until about a year ago, you couldn't get in close to a horse because all my stepdaughters in their grandmother's house, they have horses and they ride. So it was really something to experience. And now you put him on a horse, you can't get him off. Before he couldn't get close to the horse. So who knows, man?
I've been on a horse one time. It just once and done for me. The old man horse didn't want an old man on him, and it was two people who mutually agreed. I didn't want to be on a horse. The horse didn't want me to be on him. So the talk nowadays, Willie, is a lot. I mean, you've been through the game for a while. The talk of the game right now, a lot of it is on like improving horse safety, and they're really kind of, they got this whole HISA thing coming out with the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Act. from your perspective, being in the game as long as you've been, if you were king of sports for one day, or the sport of kings for one day, what do you think how would you change the game for the better?
Wow. That's a tough one because obviously they're getting more aggressive with the testing. From what I understand, the levels, or and just to see these big names, guys that I have written for too, and all that, it just there's so much behind it that you probably never know. But I don't know. I don't know what could change. It's definitely the horses' safety and the riders, of course. We know what we signed up for, so we don't know. We're not guaranteed to come back and all that. But if we can prevent certain things, then we all for it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think now you start seeing obviously a lot of changes in different states and all that, and the use of the whip, all of that stuff. Come into place. So we'll see what happens. But for me, it's tough to, man, if I could change one thing, I don't know, just to have people more aware of how dangerous, and in the blink of an eye, how things can change. You know what I mean? So I don't know, just the love for the sport and the passion that people have, that they need to do more.
You kind of went there with the no whip. What is your thought on Monmouth with the whole no whip thing? Would you ever ride like that?
We are doing it at Prescott. We started doing it this last summer. Well, the previous summer, but we are start doing it this last summer. Sorry, and some of us got in a little bit slap here and there because we've been riding for so long, and when you are used to a certain style, to raise your whip above your head, and then counting how many times you're gonna ride. If you're in a $500,000 race, you're thinking about how many times. $1 million race, your emotions and all that can get caught up. So it takes time to get all that, kind of in good order. But I just think, before, when they started coming with the safety, the popper and all that, I think we should kind of stick to that. And the limitation of how many times you can hit a horse and all that is kind of causing a controversy. Mm-hmm. In a lot of different places, but everybody has a different opinion. It's taken me a while to get used to it, but now it is what it is. There's no choice. This is what you got to do.
What's the next thing? I think we've come a little. You could speak on this better. I think your push for the jockeys and stuff. Some stuff's getting better. What would be the next thing that you would like to see happen for all jockeys going forward?
Oof. I don't know. Ride smart, ride safe. I would love to see, all the racetrack that any jocks can step on, riding safety fence, safety rails, because you see that there's certain places that doesn't have it, and unfortunately, certain things have to happen in able to change some of those things, or something bad, and hopefully, nobody loses their life and all that. But it could be somebody getting hurt badly, and then, okay, now we need a safety fence. I just hate the thought of that, because I have seen a lot of bad things on the racetrack. And one of the things that concern me the most, always have been, is the safety fence, because I've been over the fence 2-3 times. And if it wasn't for the safety fence, I would not be here talking to you guys. I promise you that.
Well, thank God for the safety fences.
Yeah.
And so, go ahead, Sean.
Go ahead, Rich.
No, I was going to say, so for all the things that's happened in your career, and thousands and thousands of races, thousands and thousands of wins, what's the one thing that really stands out? I know you got the Breeders' Cup Sprint win, you ran into Kentucky Derby, but what is the one thing that really stands out in your mind in your career?
Wow. I think when I rode my first Derby in '94, I was the youngest rider in that Derby that year. Go for Gene won it. I rode Mahogany Hole for Jimmy Baker, great friend of mine. And my family was there to witness it live. And the local news, one of the local news, did a whole thing about me, and it was very cool. Once I step on the track, and you can hear my old Kentucky Rose many, many times. But when you on top of a horse and you're at Churchill Downs on the racetrack, there's no words. So my thought, I'm like, wow, I made it. So I knew then that I exceeded my expectations and beyond. But I was proud that I did it in front of my family, and I set up to do this. And hey, I'm in the Kentucky Derby, so that one would always stand out. You know that for me, my family.
I would imagine. I can't. Unfortunately for Shawn and I, will never, ever, ever have a chance to experience that one.
And many other big races, of course, that I have the opportunity to ride some good horses. Triniver, Top Sprint, the champion. Brass Hat, the old Brass Hat, one of my all-time favorite. Just and the connections that you make with those kind of horses and the people, the owners and the trainers. So, I'm always thankful for them giving me the opportunity, let me enjoy the ride. You know what I mean? So it's what you dream for. It's what you work for.
So Charles says, what form do you use with the advancement in technology do you use to determine how you project to ride in a race? So I think he's asking, when you look at the forms, how do you kind of assess how you're going to run a horse?
Yeah, I'm one of those that I like to study races a lot. Of course, that's not always going to tell you when a horse is not feeling it, not feeling good, or certain things. But now with the technology, I keep my iPad in front of me, and it's always good to kind of pull out the entries. When I like to study races as soon as the overnight hits. 3 days before that, and then I start picturing certain races, certain horses that I know that if I'm familiar with them, So yeah, it helps a lot. So that's mainly, it's literally like a Bible for a jockey. I'm kind of the old school. I used to love the racing from have it in front of me, and just physically touch it and grab it. So the technology is coming a long ways, and it helps. It does. It helps a lot.
So that brings up another question. This is a question Shawn asks all the time. And he talks about how horses in the paddock or before the race, the appearance of a horse. So you mentioned you can't tell when the horse is not going to have it in the program, which is obvious. But when you get on the track and you go out before the race and you're warming up, right? And you have to have a sense that your horse has got it or not got it during the warm up. Like you could probably tell just from your experience, man, this horse doesn't seem like he has it. So when we're watching as horse players, as degenerate horse players, what are some of the tricks jockeys do in the warm up when they feel like the horse doesn't have it, which we might look at as a clue, and we can say, aha, Irad doesn't think his horse has it, and now he's taking it away from the lead pony, or he's keeping it on the lead pony. What are some of those things you do to try to give your horse a jolt of energy?
So, okay, a lot of times horses will fool you. And, the good horses make things for the most part look easy, like training well, doing great things, and these like the good horses, different levels, right? We're talking about the lower horses, cheap enough. Sometimes you don't expect anything out of them, just for them to give them your best. But in particular in the warm up, obviously, I don't think there's any rider that wants to see a horse washed out, being hot. Depends if he's taking over depends of the weather, time of the year and all that. But for the most part, if you know your horse, if you know that particular horse, it helps a ton, because hey, maybe I should warm up a little bit more. You should just back up a little bit. In the big races, I like to just kind of do a happy warm up, where the horse is comfortable and tells me like, I'm good to go. They just, you feel them out. There's different ways to see that. So most part, sometimes I've been fooled by horses that I'm like, damn it, I was damn sure that, but the horses will fool you. That's the name of the game, right?
Yeah, the program fools me every day.
Did you ever get on a horse and say, no, I'm not riding this horse, and scratch a horse just because he didn't feel right?
Probably every other day.
Every other day?
I'm just joking. Many times. Yeah.
And what did you feel when that happened?
Well, it could be, many things. I have been in a situation where the horse is totally sound, and maybe out of the blue bleeding a little bit out of the nose. Maybe they hit themselves with the pony. Right? You don't see these things for us, because we wear obviously the white pants. Sometimes when you look down, you're like, oh my God, where the blood is coming from? Things like that can happen. So yeah, I mean, I've been in different situations. Horses that I thought, man, I can win this race, and all of a sudden they dead lane. You know, hey, horses are athletes. They're gonna have good days. They're gonna have bad days too.
And then one last question: you brought up safety, and there's a backstory to this, but we'll just. How important is it for communication with jockeys and talking while you're on the track?
As far you mean, with
So
the,
As
just
far
to
as
give you,
keeping,
so we had Chantel Sutherland on, and she mentioned that in the course of the race, if her horse is tiring and someone's behind her is loaded, and they have an amicable relationship, she'll let them know, okay, go. But if she doesn't get along with the jockey, she might not be as friendly, and maybe there's not the communication there. And we just had on Eddie C, who mentioned the race that he was at, and he can hear the jockeys all telling him no, 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 no. But a bug decided he was going to go, 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 and almost caused a wreck. So with all that backstory filled in, how much conversation is there in a race?
listen, in my opinion, there is a lot of conversations at times. It depends. Um, when you're riding on synthetic, you don't hear the horses most of the time. That's a big factor that when we first start riding on the synthetic, I was like, wow, now you have to change certain things. You have to be more on the lookout because not all synthetic strap you can feel the thundering and you know. So the riders know they ride most of the times, you know, very cautious in the synthetic or in the turf too. There's times that you have guys that are closer friends that who help you in a race as far as it's nothing like fixing. But if you're in a situation that you're gonna get in trouble and perhaps maybe um, compromise your safety and others, then that could be given, you know. So I'm lucky that I ride, you know, at Prescott with a handful of good guys that they've been around, you know, Scott Speed, Gallardo, Morales, the list goes on and on. So these guys, they know how to ride. I see certain places that they kind of a little bit aggressive, and you know, it's like not today, you know. And sometimes I don't understand why, but you know, it is what it is. You know, you don't want to take nothing personal on the track, that's for sure, because you always want to, you know, be kind to others, and you know, because you never know when you're going to need that person in a race. Oh my God, you know, I need some room.
I just figured, and from my standpoint, thinking about it, that it was similar to like driving etiquette, right? Same thing as on the rules of the road, so to speak. There's an unwritten etiquette between people on the road. And I figured it would be, I just figured you guys always were communicating out there because there is a lot of safety issues in place there. So let's see. Sarah Wentling says, what track do you prefer to stay at right now? Presque Isle, right?
Hey, Sarah, I know that name. She works at Prescott.
So I think that's probably a loaded question then, huh? Any other answer than Presque Isle, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, she's one of a pony person at Prescott, good person. So, what track do I prefer to ride? I mean, I love synthetic racetrack. I mean, I just for some reason I just love it. But not sure if the question is what would be my favorite track, or if it's preferring to ride right now. Well, I just stick to the same plan, you know, Prescott, and then just I'm happy with that and comfortable. But my favorite track of all time would always be Hialeah.
Always Hialeah. So one final thing, Willie, we'll let you run then, because Shawn probably told you 10, 15 minutes. You've been such a great guest, mostly because you have the most perfect shirt on, but you had hinted at that you're thinking about retirement. So when Willie is done riding horses, what are you going to do?
It's driving me crazy, man. It's just driving me crazy. I just don't know. I don't know. I would like to start my own business. You know, I love the detailing cars and all that. I have other close friends that aren't interested in doing things like that with me. But I could probably, you know, I think I could do a good job representing the jockeys with the Jockey's heel or something like that. That's something that has been talked about. I had talked to Johnny V the last quiz, not recently, about that, just to keep me in mind is something, you know. And I also had thought about taking the stewards course just in case, because you never know, to have that. Like Terry Houghton, that, you know, great friend of mine too, that he took it. That was great. You know, it's good to have because you never know, you know, and in his position, I don't know how much longer he can go because he's amazing. That guy just keep going and going.
So Hillary says that new co-host. So if indeed you want to join the show, then of course there'll always be an opening for you, Willie.
Man, I would love to. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, we're pushing you guys a lot, especially, Jamie loved all this stuff. She's always listening to podcasts first, so I'm sure she'll be happy to see me.
Yes, well, she should be happy to see you, right? She's your number one fan from what I've seen online. She said you're by far the most handsome jockey. I don't know that I agree with her, but hey.
Yeah, it's funny. She put up the interview from 2 years ago with Kenny Rice, and that's what started the whole thing.
Yeah, with Kenny. Kenny's a good friend too. That was pretty cool. Yeah, she hooked that up. She out of the blue. She does things like that. She's amazing. What can I say? She just come up. Hey, you're gonna be live here doing things like that, which is pretty cool. And it's good to for the public to learn more about the game. Like, there's when you get interacting with you guys like handicapping, and then you have the jockey, you have the trainer talking to it brings you closer to the racetrack.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. Jamie Martinez says he's 100% the hottest jockey ever.
She's having vision problems too. I've been trying to tell her.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Willie. We hope you have a fantastic night. And like I said, man, down the line, if you want to join us at any time, you have our contact information. Just let us know. You're always welcome here. Your home is our home. Or it's the other way around. Our home is your home.
Got you, man. Always represent it.
Absolutely. We love that. Absolutely. 100% for sure. Thank you for that, Willie. Have a great night.
Thank you, guys. God bless.
You as well.
You too.
And there you are, Shawn the Big Head again. I know how to make who the big head now.
Great. Then I'll be the big head every night.
Yes, well, that's good. The another excellent guest, man. It's the one thing about the show is that the guests make the show, Shawn, unquestionably, right?
Absolutely. And the good thing too is the guest leaves, and I can tell you we probably could have went on for 5 more hours. So we'll definitely have him back on with a whole nother set of questions, I'm sure, down the line, because
absolutely
just can learn so much, and so fun to do that.
Do you know what today is, Shawn?
The day that ends in Y.
It's a day that ends in Y. It's like Freddy Krueger and Jason from the Halloween movies. My Lord, will this story ever go away? All right, so Bob Baffert. He's in the news a couple of ways today. One, he wants to get rid of the bettors class action lawsuit. All right, so Bob's gone with that. And then not only that, but the court now says that maybe the case was not properly filed, which would be a big plus for Bob if that could happen. And then finally, it looks like, let's see where the Forbes article is. Bob's running out of legal options, and therefore his horses are starting to leave the barn. So today is another day that ends in Y, Shawn. So what do you want to tackle first? The bettors, the horses, or the fact that the case might not have been filed properly?
When you're guilty or you have no other legal action left, isn't it always, hey, this wasn't done right? Like that's really like his last move that he can do. Hey, this wasn't done right. Yeah, you got to throw it out.
Before you succumbed under the water.
And as far as horses, I mean, I'm glad. I mean, we're running out of time here, so hopefully a few more are too, so we get the best of the best in the starting gate in the first week of May. So,
all right, so have a little segue right here. I appreciate Timothy. We didn't ask Timothy to put this up there, but Shawn, who is our next guest? I think I have an idea who it is. So my goal will be to try to kick another bee's nest or hornet's nest.
Okay, who do you got?
Who do I have?
Well, you said who's the next guest?
It's Chantel.
There you go, Chantel Sutherland.
That's what I said. We're going to try to kick the hornet's nest again. Last time she was on, she kicked a little bit of hornet's nest. We kind of covered a little bit of that there with Willie.
Yeah,
in terms of the communication on the track.
Yeah, and every jockey that's come on, there's some kind of communication. I mean, there has to be, like we talk about all the time. So I'm not sure why she got the backlash like she did. She's one of those people a lot of people love, and I mean, she's been nothing but nice. And then you when you do something successfully, and one day Rich and I will have them, you have haters. So
I already got one email from somebody, but I really don't care, Shawn. I look at it like this. 95% of the time, people can say what they want on the. I really don't care. When I was a little kid, I told you this. I was up in a tree and people were throwing sticks and rocks at me. I was like 6, and like 13-year-olds were bombarding me with sticks and rocks and calling me names. I went home crying. And I told my mom they were, these people were calling me names and they were throwing sticks and rocks at me. And she said, "Sticks and stones will break your home. Words will never hurt you. If you ever come home crying again because somebody was making fun of you, I'm going to give you a reason to cry." And I was like, "But Mom, they were throwing rocks and sticks at me." But in any case, I've never really taken what people say personally. If it's not true, it's not true, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, when it happened, they just clipped a certain part of it. They didn't give the backstory of what led up to that or anything else. So, but Chantel's been great. She let it roll off her back, and she's going to come on tomorrow, and she's talked to us throughout the whole thing. So, again, I have nothing. Yeah, I would say to anybody that wants to get to know them first, because if you get to know some of the people that you're talking about, you wouldn't feel the same way that you do.
So Charles B says he's got a ton of money now, and he's talking about you will go to the end. Robert's talking about the same thing, but he's got a ton of money now after his win this weekend. Bob will prevail in getting all of this sorted out. I'd imagine eventually the path is winding down one way or the other, right? So speaking of the big week wins this weekend, it's interesting that Bob did get the win with Country Grammar over Life is Good, right? That's a horse that switched barns on Bob. What did you think about that race, Shawn?
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I thought if anybody was going to beat, I know you had him. Good pick. If anybody was going to beat Life is Good, I thought it was Hot Rod Charlie, which Hot Rod Charlie did run a great race.
And he did beat Life is Good.
And he did beat Life is Good, yeah. I honestly thought Life is Good had the advantage. Or no, that was Hot Rod Charlie that was over there before. See, that's the thing. I thought Hot Rod Charlie being over there winning a race already, was to his advantage, and he did run good, but yeah,
not as good as Country Grammar.
I was surprised by Country Grammar, to tell you the truth.
It was one of those things, and this happens, and every handicapper out there that degenerately bets on horses has this thing where you go through the race, and like you always on our the Player's Edge podcast, you always put your pace projection on there, right? And I kind of go through the same thing every day when I do my handicapping for the show with Terry. I put down early pace. It looks a little like this. There's always for every race, it's really a tedious pain in the rear end, but I have to do it. But when you do it, every now and then a race goes exactly to plan, like they used to say in the A-team. And when we talked about it on the show, I said, Life is Good is going to get some heat. It's going to be the first time in his career. It's a longer race. He's going to tire, and it's going to open the door for someone to pass him late. And it was the one time out of 100 where you get that right. So that made me feel pretty positive. On the other end of that, Shawn, was Epicenter, who didn't get to the lead and still managed to make the Louisiana Derby look easy. So where does Epicenter rank now in your Kentucky Derby rankings?
Right now, he's number one. And honestly, he was number one before, my opinion, number one before that race, but that showed a whole nother dimension there. And that's one of those, you take the time to do the pace projection and you go, Epicenter's going to get the easy lead. Every time you say a horse is going to get the easy lead, it never goes to plan.
But I wonder, Shawn, honestly, like Terry mentioned this morning, they were already in the Kentucky Derby. So I think there's at least a 50-50 shot that they decided to let somebody else get the lead just in case he doesn't get the lead, to see how he would respond.
Yeah, I agree. And, the other thing is that horse did not look tired at the end of the race. I mean, that horse just looked dominant there. So
you're talking about the run out, then the conversation we had with Eddie. You're now all big on run outs.
I mean, I didn't get to see really the run out, but just the way the horse looked at the finish there, it looked like he had a lot more left. The fact that he didn't need the lead, I mean, we talk about this all the time. There's going to be usually there's 5 or 6 horses at least that want the lead or need the lead in the Derby. So you don't want to.
Mike Smith told us is you have to have the lead. He said that the first 100 yards or 200 yards of that race, he said, were like riding quarter horses.
Yeah. So the good thing is Epicenter's going to have enough speed to be out in that front group. But when he doesn't get the lead, he's not going to be done. So he really moves up on, it doesn't move up.
If he was number one, how can he move up?
Yeah, he didn't move up, but he's cemented his spot.
Just gone unbeatable.
But the problem is then you lose all your value too. So
I think position will play a key role in that too, because the winners, a lot of them come from the outside lately, right? So he's not going to want to be stuck inside with a ton of speed to his outside and get trapped in traffic.
But if this horse is, and you probably should in a 20-horse field, if this horse is 4-1, 5-1, I'm signing up for it.
All right. So finally, there were some belts handed out this weekend. Not the King of Miami belts between Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington. which is a whole nother story about smacking going on. What is that? Come on, dude. You're coming up from behind. Square up like a man. At least like Will Smith. You could smack like that, but at least he didn't come from behind. Jorge, I expect more from you than that. That's lame stuff. Anyway, and Jockey, James Graham and trainer Ron Fauché. I hope I got that right. I'm always kind of interested in getting those names correct. Those Louisiana names. They won a title. And here's a pretty young Javian Toledo and Claudio Gonzalez taking home the titles at Laurel Park. I'm kind of interested in this Javian Toledo's career going forward. I think he's an up-and-comer. What do you say, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been a name that's been up in the top. I don't know if how many titles. Is this his first jockey title? Does it say in there?
It might be. Let's see.
Yeah.
Toledo, 27. He had a 10 with Edge. I don't see him having all the other jockey titles in here, so maybe.
It won't be his last jockey title. I'll say that because he is definitely a really good rider.
He said he won the summer meet and the fall meet, but he never won the winter meet. So I guess he does have other jockey titles.
Yeah, and it won't be his last. So it'll be a name to be around for a while. So. Good
Charles
stuff.
says good horses make their own pace and dictate the race. Yeah, I agree with you. That's usually the case. Every now and then, though, you do find a horse gets. I don't know. I see people go out and I told you, Sean, how many times my worst pet peeve. You're running a mile and a quarter, claiming 5,000 at Turf Paradise, and you're running 21-2 in the opening quarter, like if you're Secretariat. I mean, it's just not going to happen, and that drives me bananas because if you have that horse, you lost. And there's a long race to go, and you're trying to hope that all the other horses are going to fade, but it never happens.
It's the same when two horses just go at each other up front. It's like you're just looking at the back horses going, okay, hopefully all you guys are tired too, because as soon as somebody has something, these two are fading back. So
yeah, it's just like in sports, right, Sean? You're betting on a basketball game, you're down 5, and you're thinking, okay, 3 seconds left. They hit a 3, they foul, they miss, they hit a 3, I win. Yay. I mean, it never happens. So.
Yeah, I was known for that forever. When I would play my brother in sports with basketball just around the house or football outside, I would always do there was tenths of a second left all the time.
Never ended. All right, so if you want to be as cool as Willie, Sean, what should you do?
Should go to horse
speaking
race.
of which, have you ever heard of somebody with the name Willie who's not cool?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
his nickname is Chili Willie.
Anyway, if you want to be as cool as Willie and be down with HRT, like Horse Player X and Willie Martinez, what do?
You go to horseracingtoday.net and you go to our shop.
Yes, hit on HRT gear, collect yourself a shirt. You saw how good Willie looked. I mean, he usually looks good, but I'm sure that Jamie would say he's 100% hotter in HRT gear.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so yeah, please do that.
And way to support the show. You see it. You can get all kinds of combinations there, and you can customize it. You can do whatever you want there.
Yeah, his was customized. I don't know what it said on the shoulder there, but it is customizable for sure. All right, Sean, tomorrow we mentioned we have Chantel, who's our guest on Wednesday. We have another all-star, up-and-coming all-star on Wednesday. Who's that? Yeah,
upcoming jockey Kylie Jordan. Last week she won the first 6 races. 6 races in the first 2 days of the Will Rogers meet, and she actually won 2 races today as well. So she's doing really good. She was running at Oaklawn too and winning some prices. Wasn't getting the best rides, but was bringing some long shots in. So, it'd be good to get to know her and see where her career goes from here.
Absolutely. On Thursday, we're going to have on John Ortiz from the Ortiz Barn. We're going to talk about the Arkansas Derby. Terry and I will be back tomorrow, hopefully just as strong as we were today. We'll be covering Parks. Wednesday, we'll be doing Tampa Bay Downs because Gulfstream is not running. And on Thursday, for our for Jared, we'll be covering. He wants us to cover Oaklawn, provided it's ready. We'll do Oaklawn. Not quite sure yet where we're going to head. Look, we got another young man that wants to join the show in Blake. It's popular, Sean. All the kids want to do it. Maybe
the kids want the gear too.
We'll hit another demographic. So on Friday, I don't know what Tom and I are going to do or what Terry and I are going to do on Saturday, but always it's going to be an action-packed week, and we look forward to it. Any final thoughts, Sean, before we get out of here tonight? Look, Jamie agrees with me about the shirt. See?
No, thanks to Jamie for posting that, and she didn't know what she was doing when she posted that interview with Willie, but that was great. Got to get in contact with her and Willie, and you've seen how great of a guest Willie was, and it won't be the last time he'll be on the show.
Yeah, and we absolutely, Jamie and Willie, we appreciate you putting the word out for us. That's I don't know how. I mean, we can't thank you enough for that because, like I said before, time is the most valuable commodity all of us have because it is finite. And when you spend that time with us, it's humbling for sure. All right, Shawn, that takes us wire to wire on Monday. We got back fast. It'll be Tuesday tomorrow. And before you know it, it'll be Wednesday. Till then, folks, we hope you enjoyed the interview with Willie. We did. We look forward to tomorrow night with Chantel, see what kind of hornet's nest we can kick up then. Terry says, hi, Blake. And that's it for tonight. Everyone have a fantastic Monday night. We will see you all tomorrow with Jockey Chantel Sutherland.